New Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to New Right Network Tonight. Your host, Brian Smith, exposing the fake news and giving you the real news of the day. Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, right here at New Right Network Tonight. Breaking news of the day, Lisa Page testimony unredacted, and this by SarahCarter.com. Lisa Page's testimony last July 2018 to Joint Task Force of House Oversight and Judiciary Committees basically adds more depth to what happened during the critical months during the FBI's investigation into President Trump's election campaign and the Bureau's mid-year exam investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server. Under oath, Lisa Page testifies that the Bureau did not blow over gross negligence, but in the end did decide not to charge Hillary Clinton because it was constitutionally vague. However, as we saw the leaked testimony of FBI General Counsel James Baker last year, that he was at odds with his boss Jim Comey and wanted to charge Hillary Clinton under the Espionage Act for having classified emails on a private server. This by SarahCarter.com. In testimony, James Baker stated he originally believed Hillary Clinton's mishandling of highly classified information was alarming and appalling. He also believed her use of a private server to send the classified emails was sufficient enough to secure an indictment to possibly charge her for violations under the Espionage Act for mishandling sensitive government documents. However, Lisa Carter's testimony says that the DOJ pushed not to indict, as where James Baker pushed the onus on Jim Comey and said that Jim Comey and others had to convince him not to indict Hillary Clinton under gross negligence, and Baker suggested that he changed his mind, but shortly before Comey announced publicly on July 5th, 2016, not to charge the then presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. And here are excerpts of Jim Comey and the ridiculous statement of why not to indict Hillary Clinton.
FBI investigators also read all of the approximately 30,000 emails that Secretary Clinton provided to the State Department in 2014, where an email was assessed as possibly containing classified information. From the group of 30,000 emails returned to the State Department in 2014, 110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received. 8 of those chains contained information that was top secret at the time they were sent. 36 of those chains contained secret information at the time, and 8 contained confidential information at the time. That's separate from those. About 2,000 additional emails were upclassified to make them confidential. The FBI also discovered several thousand work-related emails that were not among the group of 30,000 emails returned by Secretary Clinton to state in 2014. With respect to the thousands of emails we found that were not among those produced to the State Department, agencies have concluded that 3 of those were classified at the time they were sent or received, 1 at the secret level and 2 at the confidential level. Because she was not using a government account or even a commercial account like Gmail, there was no archiving at all of her emails. That some of the additional work-related emails that we've recovered were among those deleted as personal by her lawyers when they reviewed and sorted her emails for production in late 2014. The lawyers doing the sorting for Secretary Clinton in 2014 did not individually read the content of all of her emails as we did for those available to us, because they deleted all emails they did not produce to state, and the lawyers then cleaned their devices in such a way as to preclude complete forensic recovery. Now let me tell you what we found, that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information. For example, 7 email chains concern matters that were classified at the top secret special access program at the time they were sent and received. There is evidence to support a conclusion that any reasonable person in Secretary Clinton's position or in the position of those with whom she was corresponding about those matters should have known that an unclassified system was no place for that conversation. None of these emails should have been on any kind of unclassified system, because all of these emails were housed on unclassified personal servers, not even supported by full-time security staff, that hostile actors gained access to the private commercial email accounts of people with whom Secretary Clinton was in regular contact from her personal account. Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case. Although the Department of Justice makes final decisions on matters like this, we are expressing to Justice our view that no charges are appropriate in this case.
Just to reiterate, Jim Comey did say that there were 30,000 emails returned, 110,052 chains classified at the time Hillary Clinton sent and or received, 8 chains of top secret, 36 secret, 8 confidential, and 2,000 that were classified up to be confidential. All of this happened while Loretta Lynch met with Bill Clinton on the tarmac, yes, to talk about their children for 45 minutes. And right after that meeting, Loretta Lynch told the public that she would do exactly what Jim Comey suggested to do. And when Jim Comey said that there will be no indictment, Loretta Lynch went ahead and agreed with him. Also uncovered in Lisa Page's testimony, she was asked about the anti-Trump text was Crossfire Hurricane, where she was questioned about legitimacy of going ahead with an investigation into candidate Donald Trump. Page expressed that nobody believed that he would win, so there was no real hurry on the investigation. She claimed that she saw the Steele dossier in August of 2016, which conflicts with Bruce Orr. Bruce Orr stated that he met with Andrew McCabe and Lisa Page to present the Steele dossier in July, paid for by Hillary Clinton through Perkins Coie law firm, Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson, Lisa's testimony about Crossfire Hurricane. So upon opening of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, we had a number of discussions up through and including the director regularly, in which we were trying to find an answer to the question, which is there someone associated with the Trump campaign who is working with Russians in order to obtain damaging information about Hillary Clinton? And given that it is August, we were very aware of the speed and the sensitivity that we needed to operate under. We don't need a lot of total breakneck speed because so long as he doesn't become president, there isn't the same threat to national security. But if he becomes president, that totally changes the game. This was Obama's administration ultimately attempting to guarantee that Hillary Clinton would become president of the United States of America. At Rep. Radcliffe, the newly released transcripts of my interview with Lisa Page indicate that Peter Strzok had no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia prior to the launch of the FBI and special counsel investigation into the matter. And replying to that, at Jesse Kelly, DC, breaking, the Obama administration was one of the most corrupt in history, and if the media wasn't 90% people who feel a little warm whenever they hear him speak, people would be in prison. The president ordering a law enforcement stand down for political reasons equals prison time. Folks, somebody's got to pay for this. Somebody's going to prison. It's just a matter of time. There's so many crimes that have been committed by the FBI and the Department of Justice. Again, at Rep. Radcliffe, John Radcliffe, Lisa Page confirmed to me under oath that the FBI was ordered by the Obama DOJ not to consider charging Hillary Clinton for gross negligence in the handling of classified information. So the FBI has spent tens of millions of dollars investigating Donald Trump, possible collusion with Russia, into digging up dirt on Hillary Clinton, which isn't even a crime. And we know where all the dirt came from a thumb drive from someone inside the Hillary Clinton campaign. We believe that that individual was Seth Rich, who was a Bernie Sanders supporter and IT guy for the DNC, and then moved over to Hillary Clinton's campaign to be an IT guy for her. When he discovered that the fix was in for Bernie and Bernie lost, and all the crooked schemes that were going on in the background of the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign, along with the collusion of super PACs, we believe that he was the one that was going to the FBI to deliver the information, at which time he was confronted on the streets of DC and killed. And John Podesta, the chair of Hillary Clinton's campaign run for president in 2016, was a victim of a phishing scam. He received an email that said, "Warning, change your password." So he emailed his IT guy and asked, "Should I change my password?" The IT guy said, "Absolutely, change your password." So John Podesta went ahead and replied to the email saying "Here's my new password." And the criminals on the other end had all of John Podesta's emails in real time. We also know for a fact Chinese hackers put a virus on Hillary Clinton's email server to CC them every single time an email was sent or received. And as we know that the FBI is notorious for pre-dawn raids, this morning a very unfortunate situation where Felicity Huffman was arrested at gunpoint by several FBI agents for college administration's scam. Yes, you heard that right. While her husband, and her 2 children were asleep, this by U.S. Magazine. Scary way to wake up. U.S. Weekly has confirmed that Felicity Huffman was arrested at gunpoint on Tuesday, March 12th, for her alleged involvement in a nationwide college administration scandal. Arrived at the Desperate Housewives' house in Los Angeles at 6 a.m. on Tuesday and had their guns drawn as they ordered her to surrender. Huffman, her husband, and their 2 daughters, Sophia 18 and Georgia 16, were reportedly asleep at the time of the arrest. Is this really necessary? That the FBI do a dawn raid? Was she that much of a threat? This reminds me of the Roger Stone early morning raid.
New home security video shows multiple angles of the FBI's pre-dawn raid on the home of political consultant Roger Stone. Unarmed, 66 years old, without a passport, barefoot. Until now, the only public footage of the raid came from CNN, which somehow knew to arrive 1 hour before the FBI got there. Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker was asked about the CNN footage in his testimony before Congress today. Here's part of it.
Are you familiar from public reports or otherwise that a CNN reporter was camped out outside of Stone's house when the FBI arrested him? This wouldn't be part of the investigation.
I am aware of that, and it was deeply concerning to me as to how CNN found out about that. I share your concern with the possibility that a media outlet was tipped off to Mr. Stone's either indictment or arrest before that information was available to the public.
The new footage from Stone's home shows CNN arriving about an hour before agents did. The footage depicts what you'd expect if the FBI raided the home of a Mexican drug lord, maybe even SEAL Team 6 going into bin Laden's compound. For context, Roger Stone is a senior citizen accused of false statements to Congress. Take a look at what happened. It's just before 5 a.m. and an SUV with a CNN cameraman arrives first to this quiet street in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Within minutes, the driver gets out and begins to set up his tripod. So far, no sign that anything's about to happen. But the cameraman gets back in his car with his equipment to wait. Almost exactly 1 hour later, trucks with heavily armed men arrive in front of Roger Stone's house. Immediately, CNN's cameraman jumps out of the car, camera on shoulder, capturing the footage. The feds assemble on Stone's driveway. They're wearing ballistic armor and carrying assault weapons with 30-round magazines, red dot sights, and tactical flashlights mounted to their barrel shrouds. One has his gun hanging by a strap while he carries a battering ram in his left hand. All of the men have sidearms holstered on their waists. A second camera mounted on Stone's front door shows another angle of the raid. A heavily armed FBI agent approaches the door with his gun drawn, while others stake out positions behind. It looks like a high-stakes raid, but CNN's cameraman is still 40 feet away, filming it all. One agent swings his firearm around as he scans and surveys Stone's front porch. Behind the home, a third camera captures agents approaching the back of the house from the side yard. Behind the property, a boat arrives with at least 2 agents on board. They shine a floodlight into Stone's home. Back in front, an agent pounds on Stone's door, finger next to the trigger in case something goes wrong. He tries again as he and his colleagues wait in position. Within minutes, Stone exits his home to greet the agents who have their rifles pointed at him. Stone raises his hands and spins around, apparently trying to show that he is unarmed. Another FBI agent approaches Stone from behind and cuffs him. It's just after 6 o'clock in the morning. It's still dark out. 20 minutes later, the same camera shows agents leading Roger Stone back into his house. He is barefoot. Stone is wearing a T-shirt that says, "Roger Stone did nothing wrong." The FBI and their water carriers and corporate media tell us totally commonplace. By the book, happens all the time.
Yet Hillary Clinton, nothing. Peter Strzok, nothing. Lisa Page, nothing. James Baker, who's reportedly under indictment as we speak, nothing. No Democrats' homes are raided. No Democrat lawyers' homes are raided. Michael Cohen's home is raided. His office is raided. Client attorney privilege broken between him and President Donald Trump. Paul Manafort, dawn raid. All these Republicans are being raided, and now we have Hollywood being raided by the FBI. I think it's about time the FBI consider their protocol on early dawn raids. And at Dinesh D'Souza, I'm not defending Felicity Huffman. I despise these holier-than-thou progressive hypocrites in Hollywood. I hope she serves time for this. But she's not Al Capone. How much force is really needed to get her to come down to the precinct? Hashtag college cheating scandals. I'm not sure, folks. And trending once again on Twitter this morning, Tucker Carlson. The Twitter moment was about his comments of Teen Beauty Queen. While Tucker was on a morning radio show that does get quite raunchy, the question was posed to him, what do you think about Miss Teen South Carolina? Answer, I thought she was appealing. Question, I think in South Carolina the age is 16. Now whether he meant for consensual sex or marriage, it wasn't stated, but he did make the comment. The question was, I think in South Carolina the age is 16. Answer by Tucker, she would probably be a good wife. Then he commented again, she definitely looks 18. I mean, if you had a wife that dumb, would it be good or bad? And for those of you who may not remember Miss Teen South Carolina, this video will jog your memory.
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our children.
Now, it was reported after this video came out and comments being made around social media because this video went viral, that her mother stated that she did have thoughts of suicide and she was very distraught. I can understand why. That was a horrifying moment for anybody. Suggestion, if you're going to run for Miss Teen USA, better sharpen up on your answers. And more hypocrisy, this at Coda Vets, replying to a tweet, the original tweet, Virginia's top 3 politicians are 2 racist and 1 rapist. Now an extreme lib wants in there. What a frightening situation Virginia is in. And Coda Vets replied, where are our constitutionalist candidates in Virginia? And speaking about more liberal hypocrisy, and at Polish Patriot, disgusting CNN commentator Paul Begla just called Ivanka and Jared Kushner cockroaches. This is CNN.
I can tell you that that's pure fiction and not believable whatsoever.
What do you take from this book? Well, is it a sign that loyalty is preeminent with the Trumps?
I don't think so. No, I think mediocrity is. When you're too mediocre, even for Donald Trump, you really got a problem. And of course they survived. I mean, cockroaches are going to survive nuclear war.
At Amy Meek, Minnesota has been conquered. Meet Hoden Hassan, the newly elected Democrat member of the Minnesota House of Representatives. Representing District 62A, Hassan is the second Somali female after Ayan Omar to be elected to the state legislature. Hassan describes how Muslims are victims of 9/11 in this video.
9/11 has opened a new experience, a new eye-opening for me and the people that live in this country that call themselves Muslims, for we have experienced money prejudice against us. The U.S. has changed after 9/11. There's been many policies that has been created after 9/11, such as you were, subject to second screening when you're at the airport, or anybody can pick on you when you're at the airport because your last name is Mohammed or Hassan. Lucky me, my last name is Hassan. So a lot of things have changed, whether it's schools, whether it's laws, whether it's, everyday experience. And we live to experience that. It has been a lot of negative experience, but there's also positive experience too. There are people who are fighting against that. There are people who are fighting against Islamophobia, which started after 9/11, which still continues and to be problematic for the people that live in this country. For me personally, the biggest news event.
And as we have more craziness with Islam in America and the Democrat Party embracing Islam, now we have at the Lauren Chin, whose profile states at the Blaze TV host, at EV Magazine writer, probably a Russian bot, and her Instagram handle. She tweets out, Allah just means God in Arabic. Arabic-speaking Christians pray to Allah. Jews, Muslims, and Christians all share the same God. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. As you see, Sebastian Gorka retweeting her. Clearly, you have never read the Quran. This is frightening that someone that hosts a show on the Blaze TV is saying that Islam and Christianity share the same God. This couldn't be any further from the truth. And as we see here, an expert informs us of what Allah really means.
Usama Dakdak was born and raised in Egypt. His first language is Arabic. Mr. Dakdak's English translation of the Quran provides revealing insights on the teachings of Islam and what that means for America.
Allah said, we will cast terror. What are you going to cast, Allah? Love? No. Peace? No. What? Terror. Let me spell this word for you. It's a Terror. Okay, you got it. Somebody laugh here. Okay. We'll cast terror into the heart of those who became infidels. And if you don't know who are the infidels, we can go to Quran chapter 3, verse 72, when Allah said, infidel indeed are those who said, surely Allah is the Christ, son of Mary. That is all Christians. If you believe Jesus is God, you're an infidel. Or the following verse 573, where Allah said, infidel indeed are those who said, surely Allah is the third of three. So if you believe in Father, Son, Holy Spirit, you're an infidel. Okay, so Allah said He will cast terror into the heart of those who became infidels because they partner other gods with Allah, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, which He did not send with any authority. And their abode is the fire of hell. And evil is the final place for the unjust. So what do we learn from that verse, Quran 3:151? Allah is a terrorist.
And moving right along to our newly elected congresswomen of the Democrat Party, this at C-SPAN, the complete exchange between Representative OAC and Wells Fargo CEO Timothy Sloan. AOC questions him. Why was the bank involved in caging of children and financing the caging of children?
Madam Chair, I'd like to seek unanimous consent to submit 3 reports highlighting the bank's role in debt financing these groups, the for-profit prison companies running ICE detention facilities.
Without objection, such is the order.
Mr. Sloan, why was the bank involved in the caging of children and financing the caging of children to begin with?
I don't know how to answer that question because we weren't.
So in finance, you were financing and involved in debt financing of CoreCivic and Geo Group, correct?
For a period of time, we were involved in financing one of the firms. We're not anymore, and the other. I'm not familiar with the specific assertion that you're making, but we weren't directly involved in that.
Okay, so these companies run private detention facilities run by ICE, which is involved in caging children. But I'll move on. I was also an investor in the Dakota Access Pipeline and the Keystone XL pipelines. They were prime investors and lenders to companies building these pipelines in defiance of Standing Rock Sioux's treaty rights to protect its water and sacred lands. They warned early on, the Lakota Sioux warned early on that the pipeline was unstable and bound to leak. Despite that, it was built anyway, and it has leaked at least 5 times. And the Keystone XL in particular had one leak that leaked 210,000 gallons across South Dakota. Since Wells Fargo financed the building of this pipeline in an environmentally unstable way, why shouldn't the bank be held responsible for financing the cleanup of the disasters from these projects?
Which pipeline are you referring to?
Either.
So we were not involved in the financing of the XL pipeline. We were one of the 17 or 19 banks that was involved in the financing of the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Okay, so Wells Fargo hasn't financed any company associated with the Keystone XL pipeline?
No, I didn't say
Okay.
that. I said we're not involved in financing that pipeline specifically.
Okay, so let's focus on the Dakota Access Pipeline. Should Wells Fargo be held responsible for the damages incurred by climate change due to the financing of fossil fuels and these projects?
I don't know how you'd calculate that, Congresswoman.
Say from spills, or when we have to reinvest in infrastructure, building seawalls from the erosion of infrastructure, or cleanups, wildfires, etc.
Related to that pipeline, I'm not aware that there's been any of what you described that's occurred related
How
to that
about
pipeline.
the cleanups from the leaks of the Dakota Access Pipeline?
I'm not aware of the leaks associated with the Dakota Access Pipeline that you're describing.
So hypothetically, if there was a leak from the Dakota Access Pipeline, why shouldn't Wells Fargo pay for the cleanup of it, since it paid for the construction of the pipeline itself?
Because we don't operate the pipeline. We provide financing to the company that's operating the pipeline. Our responsibility is to ensure that at the time that we make that loan, that customer, and we have a group of people in Wells Fargo, including an environmental oversight group headed by one of my colleagues who used to be at the EPA.
So one question, why did Wells Fargo finance this pipeline when it was widely seen to be environmentally unstable?
Again, the reason that we were one of the 17 or 19 banks that financed that is because our team reviewed the environmental impact, and we concluded that it was a risk that we were willing to take.
Thank you.
And Ocasio-Cortez is exposed even more all over social media. This at Rod Stryker Maverick, globalist communist puppet AOC, is a complete moron about facts when she doesn't have her handler's script to fall back on. This dumb broad can't even explain the difference between capitalism and socialism. Great casting call pick, Justice Democrats.
When I think about what those definitions are, capitalism isn't, to me, it's an ideology of capital. The most important thing is the concentration of capital, and it means that we seek and prioritize profit and the accumulation of money above all else, and we seek it at any human and environmental cost. That is what that means.
No, wrong, so wrong. It's exactly backwards. And I'll prove it to you. Been on Amazon lately? Each of the thousands of products Amazon offers represents the work of people who believe they have something you want or need. If they're right, they prosper. If they're wrong, they don't. That's how the free market works. It encourages people to improve their lives by satisfying the needs of others. No one starts a business making a thing or providing a service for themselves. They start a business to make things or provide services for others.
When we talk about ideas, for example, like democratic socialism, it means putting democracy and society first instead of capital first.
In a social hour, it decides what you get from a limited supply it decides should exist. Instead of millions of people making millions of decisions about what they want, a few people, government elites, decide what people should have and how much they should pay for it. Not surprisingly, they always get it wrong. Have you ever noticed that late-stage socialist failures always run out of essential items like toilet paper?
Because at the end of the day, as workers and as people of society, we're the ones creating wealth, not a corporate CEO. It's not a CEO that's actually creating $4 billion a year. It is the millions of workers in this country that's creating billions of dollars of economic productivity a year.
I speak from personal experience. When I was the CEO of the company that owns Carl's Jr. and Hardee's restaurant chains, we spent millions of dollars every year trying to determine what customers wanted. If our customers didn't like something, we changed it.
Correct. And to follow up with that, exposing socialism for what it truly is, Venezuelans are drinking and bathing in sewage water as the opposition leader, Juan Guaido, calls out U.S. Democrats Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar over horrors of socialism. And as we round out the show with some very good news, promises made, promises kept, posted at GOP. Yesterday, the Senate confirmed Judge Paul Mately to join the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. Mately's confirmation flips the court from majority Democrat appointed to majority Republican appointed. Another example of hashtag promises made, hashtag promises kept by real Donald Trump. And then this tweeted out by at Senate Majority. The new House Democrat majority has wasted no time rolling out one half-baked socialist proposal after another. Apparently, the economic growth sweeping across America hasn't convinced the Democrats that things go pretty well without oppressive supervision from Washington. Oh, I couldn't say it better myself. Absolutely. Laissez-faire, hands off. And now, more bad news for the Democrats. Adam Schiff has confirmed through thedailywire.com that he is agreeing with Nancy Pelosi. Impeachment is off the table. Thank you, Adam Schiff. And then local news here around Cincinnati, just outside of Cincinnati, coming out of Dayton, Ohio, dailynews.com. Court ruling, Ohio law to defund Planned Parenthood is constitutional. Folks, we've got great news all around the country coming out. You just have to tune into the outlets that are going to report the news. That's here, right here at New Right Network tonight. Your host, Brian Smith. Follow us at Smith Radio on Twitter and at Brian P. Smith and at New Right Network on Twitter as well and all over social media. Tune in every single night, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern to get the real news of the day. Thank you and have a good night.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.